What's going on, guys? My name is Austin. This is the Bodies in Business podcast, and today's episode is part of the Positive Influencer series. And the guy that we're going to be talking about, his name is Jesse Cole. And I want to give you a brief background on who Jesse is, because this guy will fire you up and make you want to run through a wall. All right. Jesse Cole is an entrepreneur, author, and founder of the Savannah Bananas, the wildly popular exhibition baseball team known for its fast-paced, fan-first style called Banana Ball. After facing early financial struggles and nearly losing his team, Cole reimagined the baseball experience, eliminating long games, adding entertainment elements, and focusing relentlessly on creating unforgettable moments for fans. His vision transformed the Bananas into a sold-out nationwide phenomenon with millions of social media followers, making him a leading voice in the customer experience, innovation, and building a brand that puts fans first. This guy is incredible. I have loved listening to Jesse Cole's interviews and podcasts and the little things that he has to say about putting fans first and building the Savannah Bananas, because it has been a 19-year journey for him. And it's been in his blood for, a long time. And so he's put his heart and soul into this. And I'll be honest, at first, about 2 years ago, a friend of mine sent me a video on Jesse Cole. And I think I had seen him before, but he was like, this guy's pretty interesting. And back then, I'll be honest, I was like, oh man, it's a little gimmicky. It's like he's trying to just get attention, right? He's just trying to do something crazy just so he can get attention. Baseball is never, or like for me, it's like baseball's about competition, whereas Jesse Cole is trying to make baseball entertaining. Like when you go to a pro baseball game, you're going there because you're like, man, these are some of the best athletes and they're going to hit home runs. They're going to throw 90-mile-an-hour fastballs, that type of thing. But the one thing that Jesse Cole has focused on is making it more of a show and not just watching the baseball players like hit bombs out of the stadium and stuff. So where did he start with the Savannah Bananas, or just in general? He was a 23-year-old manager in Gastonia, North Carolina, coaching a summer league baseball team. He only had 200 fans and coming to games and $268 in his bank account. And he was only getting paid for that first year, $27,500. Okay, that's for first year, $27,500 as a 23-year-old. And I think that's just good to hear, because I think a lot of people come out of college these days and they're like, I need to make as much money as I possibly can because I want my value to be as high as possible so that I can continue to make a lot more money, which is fair. But in the entrepreneurial game, you have to be willing to kind of set your ego aside and say, maybe, I might be worth more than $27,000, but if I have to make that much money to start my journey onto something I want to build a dream on, it's just something you got to sometimes do. And you have to say, you know what, I'm going to make this work. So it's kind of cool to hear him say that was his first year's salary as a 23-year-old. Now, 19 years later, he's built up the Savannah Bananas, and the company has been valued at either $500 million or even up to $1 billion. Okay. And that's something just to understand is he started the company when he was 23 and now he's 42 years old, and the company's grown exponentially over the past 19 years. 19 years is a long time. A lot of people in the Air Force stay in for 20 years and get a pension after that and get, half the money that they would be making as an active duty member full time. It's just something, it's so crazy to think. And it's crazy that he's only 42 and the company he's built is worth $500 million or even $1 billion. Pretty crazy. Obviously, money is not the most important thing, but it does provide value to say, oh, this is how much impact it's making. Now, one thing Jesse is doing is he's focusing on how much impact he can make on his fans so that he can create very loyal fans. And his first thing that he says all the time is fans first. All right. He tries to understand fans at the most micro level, to understand what is motivating them to want to come back to these Savannah Banana games, and why is there a 3 million person wait list to get to his games. And it's very, very important in the entrepreneurial world to understand your users, to understand your participants, understand people that are using your product, that want to use your product. And he is doing that at scale. He's doing that the best way he possibly can. To give you a little background on who Jesse was, growing up, his parents divorced and he was raised by his dad. He said his dad was one of the most positive people ever in his life, right? His dad, no matter what was happening, told him so many positive things. And I think that's super important because when I look at my life growing up, both my parents were very motivating and helped me try to reach my goals. And my mom was always like, you could be president one day if you wanted. And my dad took me to all these wrestling tournaments and took me to practices and all these other things and camps and all these other things. So that was interesting to hear, is like his dad was a very, very big inspiration in his life and helped him tremendously as he was growing up, because he wanted to play baseball in the pros. And he actually went to college. He went to Wofford to play baseball, which is a school in South Carolina. And he was doing really well in baseball, and he thought he was going to get drafted. He was getting like cards from pro teams saying, like Merry Christmas, all these other things. And then he tore his shoulder, and then his dream of going into the pros was done. So he had to pivot. And this is where I think it's very interesting from an entrepreneur standpoint. He didn't necessarily know what he wanted his major to be. So he actually made his own major at Wofford. Okay. Just like he created the Savannah Bananas, he first created his own major at Wofford. And then in order to get his degree, he actually had to create a new play and get everyone to perform this play. And it was called Go to Bed, Amelia Red. And so there's little things in people's past that have helped them tremendously in what they're doing now. And those two things like kind of, really clicked for me, because I was like, oh my God, he created something out of thin air. He created his own major. And then he also created this brand new play that he had to put on for people. And so in order to do that, it took a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of just stepping into uncomfortable spaces. And he said he had to learn how to act. He had to learn how to be vulnerable, all these other things. And I think that really helped him be vulnerable when he was building Savannah Bananas, and really not listen to people when they were like, dude, this sucks. Or like, you shouldn't be making baseball an experience. It should stay baseball, that type of thing. And so that led him on a path to where when you do something small, it allows you to kind of, take bigger bets. And what I'll say is, like, from a fly body standpoint, and bringing this back to what I've done, I feel like I helped my younger brother lose 75 pounds to begin with. And then on a couples basis, we helped couple after couple after couple lose weight, get in better shape, and have better habits over a long period of time. And so then that gave me the confidence that I wanted to be able to go work on an entire school, faculty and staff. So it was like little things here and there that you can build up to that kind of show you that path that you're taking. All right. So his idols are P.T. Barnum, Walt Disney, Jeff Bezos. And then he takes ideas from WWE, Saturday Night Live, and Cirque du Soleil when he's trying to figure out things to do for the Savannah Bananas, which is really, really cool. Now, I wrote down some really fun quotes that Jesse talked about or said during his podcast, either from other founders or from himself, that really resonated with me. And there's about 8 of them, I think, that we're going to go through. The first one is, there's a blueprint on how to create something special and different from anyone else. And I like to hear that, because no entrepreneur is the first person to ever think of an idea. Usually it's like, this has been done before. And so people have come before you, like P.T. Barnum, like Jeff Bezos, like, who's another one, Steve Jobs. And you can take ideas that they've had and really build on those and use those in the area that you're trying to build. So that's one thing I think people need to understand, is you need to really look back at people who've already been successful, read books or listen to podcasts, all these things like Jesse Cole, and take the things he's doing and really try to impart those on what Flybodies is doing from my standpoint. And I really love the fact that he's like, we turn baseball into an experience and an event. And so I think turning health and wellness into an event through Flybodies would be something that I could really do. So I'm taking things from him because he's built that blueprint. All right. The next quote: the first 8 years in Gastonia, it was my wife and 1 or 2 other team members. Let me say that again. In the first 8 years in Gastonia, it was my wife and 1 to 2 other people. And we put out signs, concessions. We did the trash. We did the hiring, the operations. It was exhausting. So if you're an entrepreneur and you feel like you're alone in all this, and it's only maybe you and 1 other person or 2 other people, it is just the way it is. All right. And I don't know if that is the best thing for me to say, but you have to understand that it's going to be a lonely road and it's going to be exhausting. All right. It's not going to be something where you feel like, man, like I have all the time in the world and I don't feel like as an entrepreneur, as somebody starting a company, you probably should feel like I'm doing everything. in the beginning, because you need to understand how the business works and how everything is successful so that you can impart that knowledge on the next person. And you don't have to worry about their expertise that they don't know yet. Anyways, so I thought that was interesting. 8 years. Most people can't even think past a year, 2 years. And you have to think long-term. You have to think, man, this could take me 4 years before I really even get any traction. And I need to be able to live the most minimal I can in order to make this work. And that's how he's gotten 19 years down the road. Okay. The next one, number 3, and I pulled up a number 2, but number 3, you're one of the greatest parallel thinkers I've ever seen. You can see something and make it your own in a parallel path. And this is something people have to be able to do in the entrepreneurial space, is like, see something that another company is doing and be like, oh, we could apply that to fly bodies. I can apply that to fly bodies. Like a guy, I heard he was like, we want to be the Uber of workouts. Like people would be able to sign up for a workout wherever they are, and a trainer comes to them in like 15 to 20 minutes or something. Kind of cool. And that happens a lot. Like you try to make an analogy of what you are and what you're doing to another company that's been successful. And so they said Jesse is like one of the best parallel thinkers because he pulls things from WWE, Saturday Night Live, Cirque du Soleil, all these different businesses, and tries to impart them on the Savannah Bananas. All right. Here's another line. I chase moments. And I love that line because very recently it clicked in my head that fly bodies chases buzz. And what I mean by that is the buzz that's going around schools when we're doing a mileage challenge. And teachers, faculty, and staff members just get more motivated, start talking to each other more, start high-fiving, start talking about the mileage challenge. And I've heard it so many times that there's a buzz going around the school. And so for me, when he said that, I chase moments, I chase the buzz that is created at the school for 30 days during these challenges. And I chase moments like he's chasing the moment where this grandma is going to have the most amazing time in her life at a baseball game for the Savannah Bananas, or a kid gets to come on and throw a banana for the first pitch of the day and stuff like that. Really, really cool. Okay. There's 3 quotes left. All right. No one knows what they want until you show them. Steve Jobs said that, and Jesse reiterated it in a podcast. And I think that's super important because a lot of people are just going through their lives, doing what they're told, and they don't really think outside the box. I would say 99% of people are doing that. So people don't really know exactly what they want until you show them as an entrepreneur. All right. And that's not always going to be the case. People aren't going to always love what you're doing. Jesse said that everyone in Savannah hated the Savannah Bananas because they were making the city look like a joke, but everybody in the country was like, this is awesome. And so you kind of have to block out some of the noise sometimes of trying to impart your product or something, the movement you're trying to make, because the signal you're getting is not always going to be a good one. All right. And that last 2, start small, dream big, the One City World Tour. For this, Jesse talked about how they started the One City World Tour because one day he said, we want to do real world tours and go around to China, Japan, Russia, Europe, all these places, and do a real world tour one day. But it started with one city in Savannah. And I think that's so smart now because everybody wants to get 1 million customers and 1 million users and a 3 million person wait list at the snap of their fingers tomorrow. You want it yesterday. And it just so happens that you have to start so small that it seems very manageable, and then you can learn from that, and then it replicates outwards. So one thing we're doing for Fly Bodies right now is we're really trying to understand if we can create some type of ecosystem where we allow a mileage club to be for free for teachers at public schools, and then local businesses pay for the teachers to be a part of this mileage club. So we're figuring that out at the time, but that's something that we're working on, and we're starting small. We're starting with this one area, and then hopefully if it works here, it goes to other places. It'd be super cool. And now for Jesse, they started in Savannah. Now they're going to like Boston Red Sox Stadium, and they're selling out the stadium full, like 3 nights in a row or something crazy. It's insane. The last one is create a product where people want more. I'm going to give an example really quick where when something's good, we want more and more of it until we're like tired of it. And the real objective is to find that sweet spot where you want more, and then you get cut off. And you say, man, I can't wait till the next one. Can't wait till they go to the next one. What happens, and Jesse talked about it in his podcast, was that the games were like 2.5, 3 hours long. and he wanted to get it down to 2 hours because people were losing interest around 2.5 to 3 hours. And so he's like, no, we want to get it down to 2 hours because we want people to want to come back. And so I think that's one thing I actually thought about for these 30-day challenges that we're doing for Fly Bodies, is 30 days too long? We want people to still be excited, or do we need to just make it more exciting during those 30 days so that people are like, man, I want to continue doing this, right? So super interesting. Create a product where people want more. I love that because, just like Pringles, once you can never get enough Pringles, and they don't make the Pringles box, this big. They make it this big so that when you finish one, you're like, oh, I want to get another one. Anyways, Jesse is such an inspiration, and he's done so many big things starting so small. And it's really, really inspirational and motivating for me, because to start in one city with one team, and now he's got multiple teams, companies worth almost, $500 to $1 billion. And he really focuses on the product and making the fans happy, and not the money aspect and creating merchandise and all these other things. He does that stuff, but he's a guiding light when it comes to the entrepreneur that has had control, not taken any money, and really been through a grind for the past, for the first, I would say probably 15 years of his life, or 15 years of the company. And then now he's really getting to enjoy times, and just really, really happy with where his company is. So go Savannah Bananas. Love it. Jesse, you're the man. And hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Go watch his podcast. He's super inspirational. That's all I got, guys. Thanks for watching. Get after it.